Hey everybody, how you doing? I hope everybody's doing well. I hope you and your family are staying safe during these tough isolation times. And I hope you're taking all the precautions you need to remain safe and healthy as best you can during these times. And we are going through some interesting times. We're going through some tough times. And there's a saying about that I've heard quite a bit. And it's a saying that we all grew up with. And in fact, I heard it just the other day. And it's, we're all in the same boat. And it made me stop and think about it. And I thought, no, it doesn't really apply when you think of that comment. You pause and you think of that comment for a moment. We are not really all in the same boat. When I think of that phrase, I come up with an image something like this. A bunch of people huddled together in a small boat. They're being tossed around on some high seas. And when I look at this, I have to say, this doesn't apply to us. We're not all cramped in the same small space, facing the storm that's raging. We're not all stuck together, shoulder to shoulder, being tossed about. Simply put, I do not believe that we are all in the same boat. But I do have to say, we are in the same storm. I think it's a bit more like this image. We're all navigating through this global storm as best we can. There are some countries or some regions where the storm is worse than others. There are more problems, they're facing more challenges, they're experiencing more disease and more deaths. And simply put, they're worse off than we are. But by the same token, there are other countries and regions where the storm appears to be much milder. But when you think about it, the storm is really not milder. After all, we are talking about a virus, a disease, and it's the same virus all over the world. A different area is not facing a different virus. It's the same, it's identical. So if an area seems to be doing better, it's not because the storm is less powerful where they are. Maybe they're doing better because their boat is better at handling the storm. Maybe their boat is stronger, perhaps it's bigger. Maybe their boat is better equipped for these rough seas. Or maybe the sailors on that boat have more skills than the sailors of the other boats. The point I'm trying to make here is, you and I are not in the same boat, but we are still in the same storm. We're all trying to survive this storm in different boats. And consider this, the boats themselves can be very different. My boat is certainly not the same as the boat of some billionaire, with acreage, private pools, tennis courts or gyms. They're hunkered down in some place where they can wait out the storm without losing their ability to move about and exercise. They may not get away from home as much as they did before, but they can still function with a certain degree of comfort. By the same token, my boat is not the same as someone living in a tiny rental apartment with limited space to move around and little or no private outside space to get any fresh air and exercise. Or worse yet, someone who is homeless, trying to ride out this storm by themselves. They're being tossed about back and forth without a boat for safety. So we are all fighting this current storm from within our own boats in our own unique situations. And when I stop and consider what my situation is like, I find that I can't complain. Yes, my life has changed over the past month or so. On the negative side, I have lost my income, but my wife is still working, and we do have some money coming in during this setback. Also, more importantly, we have a roof over our heads, a safe place to rest and isolate, in accordance with the social distancing guidelines that we've all been given. We've got food, we are healthy so far, so I don't complain. In fact, every morning I thank God. I thank Him for what He has done for me in the past and in this situation. I thank Him for the health and provision He has given me. I thank Him that I'm still able to do my ministry online in the safety that God has provided for me and my family. Psalm 46:1 says, God is our refuge and strength, an ever-present help in trouble. Not only can we do all things through Christ, who strengthens us, we are protected by him as well. God never promised that our lives would be easy. No, not at all. God has always been clear. There will be troubles in our lives. There will be difficulties. There will be hardships now and then that we must endure. God does not promise us an easy life. But throughout our lives, through the good times and the bad, God does promise to love us. He promises to guide us, protect us, and strengthen us. Psalm 46 verses 2 and 3 say, Therefore we will not fear, though the earth give away and the mountains fall into the heart of the sea, though its waters and roar and foam, and the mountains quake with their surging. With God as our refuge, our wall of protection, and the source of our strength, we don't need to be afraid of the storm, no matter how bad things may get around us. We don't need to worry because God is with us, and he loves us. He will help us as we go through these challenging times. Thy rod and thy staff protect me. We are dealing with the same problems as other people within our community, but because we're not all living in the same house, we're not all in the same boat. No matter which boat we might be in, we can all have the same captain, guiding us and steering our boat, and that captain is Jesus. Jesus knows what is happening, and he knows what is going to happen. He knows how the situation is going to evolve as it runs its course, whatever gains, setbacks, triumphs, or tragedies are in our future. They're not a surprise to Jesus, just as this virus itself was not a surprise to him. So doesn't it just make sense to put Jesus in charge? Doesn't it make sense to trust Jesus? I remember hearing about another time when there was a storm, a long time ago. Jesus and the disciples were in a boat, and it was nighttime. A fierce storm came up, and Jesus was asleep in the stern of the boat with his head on a pillow. The wind is howling, water's cascading into the boat, filling it up. The disciples are terrified that the boat is going to sink, and they will all die. All this chaos is going on, and Jesus is still asleep. So they wake him up. Well, of course they wake him up. And they start pleading with him. This boat is going to sink. We're all going to drown. Don't you care? And what does Jesus do in response to this panic? He doesn't run around. He doesn't get excited and fearful. In the midst of all this fear and uncertainty, he tells the wind and the waves to be quiet, to calm down, and they obey him. The wind and waves do calm down. Jesus therefore protects his followers as they work their way through the storm, just as he promises to protect us. Compare that story to what we're experiencing now. At this point in time, we're facing challenging issues as individuals and as a collective population. No matter what unit of measure you're using, whether it's a single person, a neighborhood, small town, large city, province, country, continent, or the entire planet, these are tough times. These actually are dangerous times. Everyone and everything is being tested. And none of us know how long this testing will last. But we do know this: it will not last forever. There will be an end to this pandemic at some point, and when it does end, life will return to a new measure of normal. Probably not the same as it was before this pandemic started, but life will settle into whatever the new routine of normal will be for all of us. And through all this turmoil, all this disease and death, what does God tell us to do? Psalm 46:10 tells us, he says, "Be still and know that I am God. I will be exalted among the nations. I will be exalted in the earth." So we need to calm down. We need to be still. Don't worry. Trust God, and he will get us through this. We still need to follow the guidelines designed to slow down the spread of the virus, but we don't need to live in fear because the Lord Almighty is with us. The God of Jacob is our fortress. Faith alone will not keep us from getting sick. We can't ignore the rules and carry on as if nothing is wrong. If we go outside and ignore the social distancing guidelines, we may come in contact with the virus. We may get too close to someone else who is sick and doesn't know it because they have no symptoms yet. And then we might unknowingly contaminate someone else. I'm doing what I can to prevent such an occurrence with the people that I come in contact with. I am a Christian, I trust God, and I wear a seatbelt when I drive a car. I trust God and I wear protective gear whenever I'm on the motorcycle. All my protective gear. I trust God and I wear oven mitts when removing something hot from the oven. I trust God and I got smoke detectors in my house. I trust God and I will do everything I can to protect as many as I can from this virus. We suspended our regular church services at the community hall in order to protect people. We are a church, we trust God, but we don't push God. We don't test God. We don't behave foolishly because we demand God protect us from our own arrogance. We trust God, we pray to God for the health and safety of others, as well as for ourselves. We work to be responsible with all that God has given us, including our health, safety, and security. We are walking with God, and we invite you to join the walk with us. Please consider supporting our church. You can donate to our church online. Just visit our website, solidrockbikerchurch.com, and click on the Donate Now button. It's easy, fast, and secure. You can even be anonymous if you wish. Thank you, and remember to ride safe.